is Becca Ritchie, and I am truly honored to stand before you today as a candidate for re-election. We are in unprecedented times in America, and it's a time that our very survival as a union and a country is at stake. We need our most experienced advocates, fighters, and leaders representing us. This is why I believe that I am the right person to represent you as Washington's NEA Board Director, Position 1. I had an incredibly privileged childhood, not because my parents were wealthy, they weren't, but because I grew up with parents who instilled in me a strong work ethic, strong sense of service, and strong union values. My father served 20 years in the Air Force. When he retired from the Air Force, he continued to serve the community by running the only store on McNeil Island. When the job ended, he became a night custodian. In the Steilacoom School District, it's pretty small. After 20 years, he had worked as a bus driver, a groundskeeper, and finally, the head of maintenance. My father taught me of everybody's role in the system and how the system could not operate without these incredible, important people. My mother began her career in education as a teacher's aide. Yes, it was way back in the day when it was called a teacher's aide. At Idlewild Elementary School in Clover Park, she went on to become the secretary, yes, it was before administrative assistants, at McNeil Island Elementary. And because she loved working with the children, she attended night school while she worked full-time and earned her early childhood education degree from Central Washington University. Go Wildcats! Yeah. She spent 24 years teaching in a 2-room schoolhouse on Anderson Island. When she started teaching in 1981, there was no union to join in Steilacoom. Teachers in Steilacoom shared the same pay scale as Clover Park Education Association, but they couldn't advocate for better workloads or for supports or for their students' learning conditions. So what did my mother do? She organized. She and her colleagues came together, they stood up, and they built the Steilacoom Education Association. I grew up watching my mother fight, not just for herself, but for everyone around her. That legacy started with her father, my grandfather, a proud member of the United Postal Workers Union. He was a miner before that. There we go. Today, I'm proud to carry on that work. I've served educators in Renton and Kent in multiple roles at the local council and state levels. I also served for 6 years as the National Badass Teacher Caucus Chair. I served 6 years on the NCUEA, or the National Council for Urban Education Association, on the exec committee as the Pacific Region Director. And then the past 3 years, I've been on the NEA board. So I've been in that national mix for quite a while. But I'm gonna bring it back to the local. Now I serve as the Vice President of SWIM Education Association, and I serve as the Vice President of the WA Olympic UNISERV Council. I represent a rural community in the Olympic Peninsula. That is a huge deal when I talk to my members and I take their voices that are very seldom heard because they can't come to these things. You can't afford it. But their voice gets to go to DC now. From our farming towns to our coastal communities, from the cities to the mountains, the strength of Washington is in its diversity, and creating spaces for every voice to be heard will build lasting solidarity. Is that a challenge? Yes, but we must do it. Our union thrives when mentors share guidance and help people understand how the union works. It's not easy to learn all the intricacies of the union. In my early RAs, I was fortunate to meet Joe and Mo Ramos. I also met Ken Mortland and Patricia Benavides, as well as George Sheridan on the national level and Shelley Krajacek, all who took the time to help me understand how the union works, as well as the history they experienced firsthand. I want every member to have access and transparency to the processes of our union. We all stand on the shoulders of those who did the work before us. Retireds, big shout out. You did this work and built this place. And now it's my turn to continue mentoring people and teaching about how to engage in the union. I am one who reaches out to new potential leaders to let them know of opportunities. I often, hey, did you hear about? And share what that information is. And then I support them. I don't just give it to them, then I support them. I am there when they have questions. If they email me, call me, show up on my doorstep, I'm there. And then, once they get their feet, I step back and let them shine. I'm proud to be part of the WA family. Decades ago, and I think Daniel referenced this, I'm not sure if it was that one, we marched in Olympia wearing big blue ponchos. If you've ever been to the NEA or the WA building, there are pictures of buses that bust all of us down there, lines of buses. We marched chanting, "We don't work for peanuts. Pack 'em deep and teach 'em cheap." 30 so years or later, wearing red for Ed, we filled the Capitol, demanding ample funding for public schools. And I'll never forget how wonderful we sounded singing labor songs on the steps of the legislative building. We followed that with rolling walkouts and rallies across the state. We held a candlelight vigil to shine a light on the funding crisis. We occupied Olympia with red shirts and signs that said, "It's time." And guess what? We didn't just make noise. We made progress and we turned the momentum into real victory. But the fight isn't over. We are still pushing and still demanding the compensation and respect our ESPs and higher ed deserve. Because victory is about lasting change for every member of our union family. We showed up again when lawmakers tried to tie test scores to evaluations. We filled not one, but 4 hearing rooms, a sea of red shirts, educators refusing to be silenced, and together we shut down that proposal. I can't tell you, when I shared that with people at NEA, they were amazed. That was one heck of a day. Just this year, WA is back in Olympia, demanding a fairer tax structure. We are boldly calling for the wealthy to pay their fair share because our students deserve more than crumbs. They deserve investment. That doesn't mean we're going to tax you and me. The phrase you have heard before is tax the rich. Say that with me. Tax the rich. Together, we have done some amazing work, but we cannot rest. Unions are under attack all over America. It's happening right now. Talk to a colleague from Utah and you'll feel the raw, painful reality of what's at stake for all of us. The loss of collective bargaining. We can and we must learn from our past and build a stronger movement. I am determined to bring Washington's voice to DC and lift up the hard work that's done here and then glean ideas from other states that we can use. We also must find joy in this work. Justin Fox Bailey reminded his caucus that we have to find the joy in the work when we were at the Mock-RA. So true. This will sustain us. This is a marathon, folks, not a sprint. And we must make sure that we recharge so the work can be done. And we must also take care of each other. Check in on each other. This is key to sustaining us through these years. Meanwhile, public education faces an existential threat. What would dismantling the Department of Education mean? It would mean stripping $292 million from IDEA funding from students with disabilities. Yes. Slash $306 million from Title I. Eliminate $443 million in Pell Grants and erase $26 million from career and technical education. And this one is the most brutal one. Well, not the most, they're all. But in Washington State alone, cuts to the USDA local farm fresh food to school program has caused a loss of $25 million. Money we used to feed hungry kids. Okay, 10 seconds. Okay, I bring my experience and I bring passion. I bring an unwavering commitment forged in decades of advocacy and action. I'm Becca Ritchie, and I humbly ask for your vote to re-elect me as your NEA Board Director, Position 1. Thank you.